There comes a time when silence says everything words never could. When you stop trying to explain yourself to those who will never understand. One day, you wake up and realize you're no longer chasing validation from anyone. You're not angry. You're just not available for performance anymore. You don't wear masks to make others comfortable. You don't shrink to be allowed in. Now, if a space can't hold all of you, it doesn't deserve a piece of you. There's no announcement, no final post, no dramatic exit, just a slow reclaiming of your time, your peace, your worth. You start replying slower, not out of spite, but out of respect, for your energy, for your breath. You stop showing up to arguments where peace was never the goal. You stop negotiating your boundaries with people who treat them like suggestions. You're not becoming distant. You're becoming aligned. And alignment often looks like loneliness at first, but only because you've been surrounded by noise for so long. You forgot what it felt like to hear your own thoughts clearly. You used to overthink everything, crafting the perfect message, wondering if you said too much or too little, wondering if they misunderstood, wondering if they even cared. Now, you let the message sit unread, not because you're cold, but because you finally know warmth doesn't chase what leaves it in the cold. You're not proving anymore. You're not performing. You're not asking to be seen. You're seeing yourself. And that's enough. You don't raise your voice to be heard in places where your silence used to echo. You let people leave. Let conversations end. Let confusion clear itself without your guidance. Because now, peace is your priority. And peace isn't passive. It's a decision. A decision to stop entertaining chaos wrapped in charm. This isn't silence born from fear. This is silence born from knowing your worth. From the earliest moments, you were conditioned to believe that your worth was measured by your accessibility. Smile, even when it hurts. Say yes, when everything in you screams no. Respond quickly. Don't leave anyone waiting. Be nice. Be helpful. Be there. But no one asked if you had anything left to give. So you learned to survive by being emotionally generous and spiritually exhausted. You became a lighthouse for ships that never intended to anchor. And the more you gave, the more they took. Because what is always there is rarely respected. Carl Jung spoke of psychic energy, the vital force within each of us, not unlimited, not renewable without rest. Every reaction, every response, every act of people-pleasing drains this energy from your system. And here's the quiet danger. The world is full of people who do not love you. They love your compliance, your availability, your energy. They press the buttons you never learned to hide. They provoke, they flatter, they guilt, and you respond, as you've always done. But what you don't realize is, this is not connection. It is emotional extraction. And each time you explain, defend, justify, you hemorrhage a piece of your soul. But something changes. The day you stop explaining yourself to those who misunderstand you on purpose. The day you stop replying out of guilt. The day you stop being the emergency hotline for everyone else's chaos. You withdraw, not in bitterness, but in clarity. And suddenly, the energy shifts. People start to question, to chase, to project, because they were never bonded to your essence, only your reactions, your availability. Now, with no signal to grasp, they're lost, uncomfortable, angry, because the game has ended, and they didn't even realize they were playing. Jung called this moment the beginning of individuation, the sacred path of becoming whole. You shed the persona, the mask worn to be accepted, liked, understood, and you face yourself, fully, no longer trying to please, no longer apologizing for your truth, no longer giving away your peace to purchase temporary approval. In Stoicism, they speak of inner citadels, fortresses of mind and soul that no external force can shake. This is what you build when you stop leaking energy to every emotional storm that passes. Power is not in reacting. Power is in choosing when and if you respond. You think being available will earn you love, but in reality, it makes people forget how rare and sacred your presence is. What is abundant becomes disposable. What is predictable becomes a tool. And those who once praised your loyalty will disappear the moment your utility fades. So be warned. Those who expect your constant presence often vanish in your absence. And that's how you learn. You were not loved. You were used. And still, this isn't about hatred. It's about discernment. It's about spiritual economy. Because your energy is not infinite. And those who drain it without reciprocity do not deserve it. Now the question is not, who needs me? But rather, who truly values me when I am not available? Your unavailability is a mirror. It reflects the truth. Who clings? Who attacks? Who disappears? You learn everything by watching what happens when you choose yourself. So observe your triggers. Notice where your energy escapes. Stop engaging with ghosts that demand your life force, but never offer their own. Jung once said, "That which you resist persists." But the inverse is also true. That which you stop feeding fades. You don't need to announce your healing. Your silence will echo louder than your explanations ever could. When you stop being available, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly respects you, but because you do. So become scarce, become sovereign, become a mystery, and let your absence teach what your presence could not. If this message resonated, subscribe for more reflections on Stoicism, Jungian psychology, and emotional mastery.